Hello, welcome again to the Law, Policing and Justice Podcast, episode 9, and I hope you're all well. My name is Nurin Chowdhury and I'm the Supervising Solicitor leading the Legal Advice Centre and the lecturer at the University of East London. So in today's episode, we'll be discussing the topic on refugees and asylum matters. We have a special guest today, Sylvia, who is one of our law fellows from the renewal programme, Newham. Sylvia is an experienced managing director who has demonstrated history of working in the law practice industry, holding many years of experience such as EU and international law, asylum and immigration law. Sylvia also deals with human rights applications and handles removal and deportation appeals. Sylvia also works closely with our Legal Advice Centre on immigration matters, and I want to say a massive thank you for everything that you've done so far for all our students as well as the LAC team. You've done an amazing job. Thank you so much, Sylvia.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
It's lovely to have you in. So Sylvia, I will let our students introduce themselves and then what they'll then do is put their questions forward to you. Over to you all.
Hi Sylvia, my name is Taz. I'm a first year law student.
Nice to meet you.
Hi Sylvia, my name is Fawaz. I'm also a level 4 law student.
Hello.
Good morning, Sylvia. My name is Paul. I am a first-year law student as well, specifically business law.
And I will be asking the first question to you. First of all, thanks for coming. How do you begin working on an immigration case after taking on a new matter?
I receive referrals from partnering organizations, and the cases I'm working on are quite complex. They have quite long immigration history. Clients could have human rights claim refused in the past, or immigration application, or failed asylum claims. So establishing history of the matter is very important, considering future prospects of the case and the outcome. I frequently ask for subject access request I make the request to the Home Office for data disclosure and try and establish what applications have been made, why they've been refused, what representations have been made. Clients frequently have been represented in the past. This will help me to establish what the difficulties were, why the client wasn't granted leave to remain. Then I also request for copy of the file from past representatives, and I analyze the case law applicable at the time of the failed applications, case law up to date, Home Office policies, and current law to try and determine and establish the best way forward for the case. Sometimes quite extensive research are required. For example, in cases of failed asylum seekers, the circumstances might have changed in their home countries, so the prospects might look different for them. And then I interview the client, seek their instructions on the aspects which I've analyzed, and I start writing representations and having decided what type of application to make.
Thank you. Sylvia, what steps do you need to ensure you have all the necessary documents to build a strong case?
When I get the file over, I'll try to establish what parties were involved, if the case is post-appeal, what witnesses were involved, what were their connection to cases, how the circumstances have changed from the last negative decision. It could be that the client can have a British child now or could have acquired the necessary length of residency to progress application under immigration rules, as opposed to seeking discretionary measures from the Home Office. Yes, I would say preparatory stage is very important. It determines outcome of the case. So I will always check the background of cases, analyze all decisions. If there is anything, if the records from the Home Office are deficient, I'll try and seek those copies of decisions from past representatives or the clients. The challenge here is that the clients we are helping are frequently destitute. They don't have stable accommodation, so are moving from places to places, and very often have lost some documents on the way. So sometimes I have to work with the documents I can get.
Thank you.
Our next question, and with everything you've said, you probably deal with a lot of documents and a lot of paperwork. So what does a typical day in your work area look like for you?
I don't have typical day at work. I have days that are similar to one another. For example, on Tuesday and Friday, I work on internal project where I help undocumented migrants. And this involves making fee waiver applications prior to immigration applications. The basis of cases vary, but when I start at 8, I tend to respond to emails first, pertaining to the project, and then go through my calendar, see what pre-planned casework was and what emergency casework needs to be done. It might be the decision that came in the evening or on Saturday that I wouldn't be aware of, and it's approaching really cases on the basis of priority. I'm the only immigration caseworker, but my role does not only involve casework. It might be that there is a deadline for report approaching, so I try to balance casework and other service-related matters during the day. Because the project is related to provision of advice in the food bank, and Tuesday and Friday are also food bank days, I wait for the triage to be made from the food bank for fresh cases. I frequently consult clients on the premises. I offer initial advice, and then I schedule follow-up appointments for casework to take instructions and authority from the client. Sometimes I have a lunch break, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I eat at my desk. Drafting is something that is challenging to be done from the office, so mostly Mondays I work from home, where I draft representations for the client, when I'm able to compile those research, analyze cases. Renewal program is a very busy organization. We have few projects, and the floor I work on is quite busy. I share office with other colleagues, so the quiet time is when I need it. It's not always there, hence one day of working from home. On Wednesday, every other Wednesday, I think I provide advice in Legal Advice Center for our clients under this project, under our internal project. And Thursday is devoted to another project with partnering organization, which are local. The remit is limited to Newham. And under this project, I mostly help asylum seekers. Those or failed asylum seekers, they are also users of food banks, but the funder for the food banks is different. And majority of cases are asylum-based, protection claims, failed protection claims. They are more time-consuming. There is less deadlines, but the casework is different to our internal project. So I try to balance those two projects and how I split my casework over the commitments contracted.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
As we know, immigration, when it's about immigration, it might be frustrated sometimes for the clients. So how do you manage clients who may be anxious or frustrated about their application?
Well, we receive referrals from organizations that help people who face homelessness, from local authority who are helping people with mental health problems or vulnerable in different way. So often clients present with certain mental health challenges. And I think for the sake of the case, it's very good to establish trust between the client and representative, because my clients, they tend to have long immigration history. They've gone through different lawyers, high street lawyers, and because the cases have not been successful, they sort of lose trust in representation. So we don't charge clients for services, and that's something that they welcome. But frequently they appear to the first appointment with their support workers. And support workers have to convey the information to them, how beneficial the service will be to them, how different it will be from the service they received so far. And I don't tend to rush consultations because my goal is to get client perspective on the things that happen to them. Even in protection claims, the prospect of success in absence of documentary evidence depends on credibility of the client and their objective fear, and subjective as well. So everybody's account of similar events might be different, and to what extent they are affected. When clients have mental health condition, I obviously will seek the report from GP and the consultant if they are receiving secondary health care. I think by the time preparatory stage is completed, the clients are fairly confident that they will receive quality service, and my intention is to help them.
Thank you. Sylvia, how many cases do you handle at a time?
There is no particular case. I cannot set the limit of the cases that I will work on at any given time, because I work on two different projects. On one project, which is for undocumented migrants, when I make few waiver applications, there are certain deadlines I don't know of yet, but they will impact on the pre-planned casework and create some sort of emergency where I have to pause the work on the projects for asylum seekers because they don't have deadlines, and make sure that I deliver on deadlines to prevent clients from becoming overstayer. I try to plan the work in a way that will allow me to deal with these emergencies. Having reviewed the project recently, I've worked on 76 cases combined on both projects, but because of significant follow-up and not very speedy turnout of those cases in the home office, I might end up handling significant follow-up work. So I might be able to predict where further inquiries may be made when, for example, we have deadline to meet and I don't have sufficient evidence. I can expect this evidence to be requested at a later stage by the home office caseworker, and I can slowly prepare towards these submissions that I might need to make in future. When I get a lot of complex consultations and I have to do complex preparation, I try to balance the numbers with providing sort of drop-in sessions for initial consultations only when no casework follows. This is major challenge in provision of the service and renewal program at the moment because of having to work on 2 different projects. So this challenge is not something that we are able to erase, but to mitigate. Obviously the priority is to deliver casework on a certain level and to help as many people as possible and deliver on the outcomes contracted with the funders and partnering organizations. So yes, my work isn't always 8 to 4 or 9 to 5. Ideas are percolating when I travel to work or on the way, even on the walk at weekend. That's how I arrive with my line of representation. I know I cannot help the client by doing the same things that have been handled in a certain way in the past. When there is a potential claim based on medical grants, I will explore it very well. I will see if it has been presented to the Home Office before. I want to see how it was presented, how it was viewed, what conclusions have been made, whether all documents have been taken into account. And then if I don't have the deadline to meet, I often tend to percolate for a bit. Sometimes I have to revise client advice letter and I come up with a different idea for representation. For example, recently for the client who had applications made and dismissed under EU settlement scheme, I wanted to do application under immigration rules and proceeded by fee waiver due to her length of residency, and this will give her 2.5 years of leave and settlement after 10 years of renewals. But then I decided to bring to conclusion the EU aspect of the matter, and the client was granted settlement after first decision, which shortened the period when she will be eligible for settlement and reduced the necessity of making this fee waiver and immigration applications. So it's not rushing things, sometimes works, in efficient way for the service overall and for the clients.
My next question will have reference to a session that I attended with you, Sylvia. In scenarios where I guess there may be a language barrier and the client may have trouble understanding the formal documentation, how do you deal with these scenarios where deportation is immediate and a client may not understand because English isn't their first language? How would you approach that scenario?
When it comes to communications barrier, we use interpreters on the line. It's called language shop. When we call and have a 3-way conversation with clients, obviously those clients who are set for deportation, they are frequently retained under immigration, under Secretary of State powers in prison following initial decision of being released on license. We don't tend to take on cases with criminal background. Deportations are reserved for people with criminal convictions. However, the clients I work with, they are subject to detention and removal because they don't have leave to remain. So the removal is administrative process, and it's a bit different to deportation. The language barrier, it's not the paramount challenge in cases like that. It's the time and limited documents that I have to work with that is quite frustrating. Sometimes I plan the case, progress the case under immigration rules, and then the client receives letter from family returns preparation from immigration enforcement section, and the scenario changes significantly. I have to drop all the other cases I've been working on and start preparing cases to prevent removal. So removal prevention is my guiding principle when I work on cases when clients have no leave to remain, when they've entered illegally and are at risk of detention or removal. But deportation cases, not so much. I work on deportation cases privately. Funding cases with criminal background is not a focus of the funders, and it wouldn't meet our charitable goals to help people who are said to be on the way from the UK for whatever reason, whatever results this might incur. We are a local charity with focus on local communities, and we are there to help people who cannot afford to pay for legal advice, who live locally, and there must be prospects of their integration, future integration. We want them to go through our projects, learn the language, certain employability skills, instead of fighting for the case that is set for appeals up to upper tribunal, which might not be successful. It will be time consuming. It will not be financially efficient for the funders. Therefore, the interest in this type of cases is limited. Our priority is to regularize stay of families and in individuals who face certain challenges, who are living on the margins for years, with a view to integrate them into local communities.
As you said, you manage quite a lot of cases and you even spend your weekend. So how do you stay organized and manage all the cases that come through to you?
Efficiency comes with experience. I've worked for a renewal program for the past 4 years, and on different projects. The first project I worked on was for clients who were homeless. The funder was different. Projects are temporary. So the element of predictability and very tight planning is out of the question. As I said, I mostly mitigate and plan what I can, leaving room for the unexpected.
Thank you so much for that, Sylvia, and I'm sure my students found it insightful, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
Thank you for all your
Is
hard
there
work.
anything else you want to ask me?
No, that's it. So that's all we have time for today. Thank you for Sylvia for coming in, and thank you to our lovely visitors for putting the questions forward. And to our listeners, thank you for listening in, and we will be back and stay connected. If you do wish to get involved with our Law, Policing and Justice podcast, please email legaladvicecentre@uel.ac.uk. And if you wish to explore more on the Law, Policing and Justice courses, please do visit www.uel.ac.uk. And as always, thank you so much for listening in, and stay well.